team, welcome to episode 149 of Transition Talk, where we talk about dental transitions and how to navigate the sometimes messy path to practice ownership. No matter where dentistry takes you, being prepared for what's next is key. If you're considering a specialty, this episode will let you know how to tackle that next step with confidence. We'll talk about the importance of early planning, we'll discuss the key differences of buying across different specialties, and starting early and being intentional with your time. All these things are going to help you feel ready for getting into the specialty of your choice. And is it worth it? So before we do that, Mr. Loretto.
Hey.
How are you?
We got to hang out like 3 days in a row.
Uninterrupted time.
Out in the woods.
Out in the wilderness. So fun. And I love that place. Cane Water's planning team has an annual planner retreat. So Charles and I were a part of that. And Rough Creek out in Glen Rose, if you're ever in the DFW area and want a place that feels well outside of the DFW area and feels just kind of like a little hunting lodge, it was a really, really nice time.
Good food, little outdoor performance, fire pit, outdoor games, challenges.
I only had to wash my hair 7 times to get the smoke out, but it's fine.
I'm definitely a city boy.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of smoky.
It was so smoky, so smoky. They're so nice. They sent us home with like this little packaged lunch that we could eat on the way as we drove back home. And it had smoked turkey in it. And I couldn't eat it because I was so tired of like smelling. Like, I feel like I could taste it. I was like, and we're just going to eat this cookie. It's going to be fine. How's life? What's going on?
Oh, man. Christy, the age is catching up to me. My firstborn is 26 years old.
Wow.
And the significance with the 26-year-old is they have to get their own insurance.
Ooh.
You know, so this is the age I'm at when I'm having to figure out what is the best healthcare plan for my 26-year-old, which I'll also be paying for. You know, I had dinner with his mom and we just hung out and talked about old times. And I got to tell you, this was not planned, but he is trying to get into specialty. He is trying to get into specialty. This podcast was already planned, and we're at dinner, and he just finished his master's program, so he's trying to get matched to his doctorate. And, of course, Christy, I'm not that important. He's not going to listen to anything. He's not still at an age at 26 he's going to listen to Dad. And so he's telling us about his mom, about as far as the deadlines that are coming up. And I said, son, you know, I actually have a podcast scheduled next week about how to get into specialty. So, Colorado, there is a 0% chance you're listening, but if there is 1.5% chance you listen, this episode was written for you, my little buddy. So just fun times. He's actually an excellent communicator, and I'm very proud of my little 26-year-old.
Oh, I love it. It's weird that you have a 26-year-old when you're only 32.
Exactly. I don't know how that works. 32 in spirit, Christy. Hips are definitely 58.
Oh, man. Well, we in the Ratcliffe household are just in the May-vember, as they call it, like all the end of school year testing and projects and all the things. And I've actually brought my daughter here. I got mom points because she had a project. She picked pediatric oncology, a specialty. Interesting. She had to create a video, and there's not a lot of fun things you can do with pediatric oncology from a video perspective. And so we decided that I would interview her, act like she was Dr. Bryn Ratcliffe, and I was going to be a journalist. And then we spun it into a podcast, and I was like, hey, I know where we can find a podcast room.
A professional
podcast. A professional one with lights. And so we came up one Saturday, set up her iPad, and did a little recording. I've got a picture, and she's just the sweetest.
So cute.
So sweet. But I felt like I definitely scored some major mom points for the podcast room.
Yeah.
But we'll get into it. So this is one of those episodes where Mr. Loretto gets tired of saying the same thing over and over and over again. I'll brag on you. You've created some great curriculums for some of the Texas dental schools where we kind of go into their programs in D3, D4 year and kind of a business course essentially, which, you know, we know dental schools are lacking. You've got so much to learn and business schools are hard to add on to that curriculum. And so you've kind of gone into these schools and created multi-semester courses where they're learning about the profit and loss and accounting and specialty and demographics and all these amazing things. And I've gotten these questions, so I know you've gotten them tenfold of what do I do next? Whether it's how do I find a practice or is this associate agreement good? But this specialty question of like, should I go into specialty? What specialty is a big one? And so this is going to be more of a like you kind of laying out all your thoughts, kind of open mic here. But I want to start with a few of the questions that we get and we can kind of talk about those and you can go into kind of how you feel like someone should approach specialty. But people ask us all the time, like, what specialty should I go with? I understand their mind. They're thinking like which one's going to be the most successful, which one is like having a moment, but that's not the way to look at it, right?
No. I mean, if you hate kids, I would not go to the pediatric dentistry route. You know what I mean? If kids are not your thing, let's not do that. If you're not looking for a 6-year of additional school, we should probably eliminate OMS as well. Yep. So, I mean, I'm always about just be passionate about what you do. So if you're going to go into specialty, that's the first question is this something you're passionate about? You know, what makes you so passionate about it? Tell me about an experience. And usually you can just tell by just someone's eyes, someone's story about why that they want to be this specialist. And for that, I'm just like, certainly want to encourage them. I mean, you got extremes examples where I think there's probably a saturation of probably in orthodontics and you've got some shortages, you may say like on a perio side or maybe on an endo side, something where it's going to be much easier when you enter the field that it's a higher demand, position. But I always just go back to first, before I tell you thoughts about it and challenges, but tell me first, is this something you really want to do and sell me on your passion? So that's step one.
And no different than if you're looking for a practice. We've said it a million times, don't go to the beach if you don't like the beach, right? Like you got to go to the place and kind of do what you love. And that's how you have longevity in this business. There's clearly the function of like dental school and residency costs a lot of money. And so the debt load and the return on investment kind of comes into that. Some of these programs are very expensive and federal funding and all those things kind of come into play. So what do you answer when someone says like, is there a return on investment or what about the cost? What kind of advice do you give there?
Yeah, and honestly, I've thought about this for so many different things in life. It's my weird DNA, but I'll think about like pharmacy. And it's like, well, that's going to be a really expensive $400,000 debt to maybe work at Walmart for $130,000. But if you go into pharmacy and then you end up in private pharmacy that you're creating your own scripts and that generates a different return on investment, I can see those kind of roads. Certainly if you're going down, I just came back from teaching in Joplin, Missouri. It's $100,000 tuition. Those students are coming out with $600,000 to $700,000 each. That's just in dental. And so then if that same person gets quote unquote matched to Georgia orthodontics, they're going to be $1 million in debt, $1 million. And there's nothing wrong. Still, they want to be an orthodontist and they're going to be passionate about it. I totally get it. But man, there's going to be a sense of urgency at that point. It's $1 million. I mean, that's 7% interest on $1 million is $70,000. That's after tax money. So I mean, we got to make $110,000 just to pay the debt. So this creates some urgency that we have to be not just an orthodontist, but a successful one, and really probably go into private practice at a sooner place, just so we get a return on the investments, just to pay back what we borrowed. So there are certain times I'm like, I just want to be an associate and I'm going to be $1 million in debt. I'm probably going to lean you towards, you really asking? Probably no. But if we've got a vision of drive and that's what you want to be, is just call it specialist, I think we have to look at even the specialty and even how quickly that may have an influence on ownership. For example, my pediatric dentist, my oral surgeon, my endodontist, they're going to be able to quickly come out of the gate and even show their ability to get into ownership much faster than, let's say, the extreme example would be the orthodontist. It's going to have to really be the associate for a while and then probably buy a smaller practice and probably build. So those are going to be kind of my two extremes. But, what debt they have, what spousal income, those are going to be a lot of questions I'm going to be asking just to kind of help guide them. The key is not answering and telling them what to do, but letting them figure out what their own passion and vision is, and then letting them answer their own questions of what to do.
Yeah.
Not to be so in their face and say what not to do.
Yeah. So knowing where you want to go, kind of having a plan, all those things very kind of true to what you hear a lot on this podcast. Open mic here. If someone comes to you and says, hey, I'm interested in becoming a fill in the specialty, how do you suppose that I navigate this kind of process of figuring out what programs, where I want to go, how I want to do it? What's your advice?
Okay. Very much like the mail campaign that we have for I need to try to find a job. This would be my equivalent of a mail campaign. So number one, I would identify at that third year dental school class, I want to be a specialist. And in that example, it could be whatever specialty program. The first thing is I would say find 10. So we want to be able to look at 10 of these programs. And as we are looking at these programs, try to think about something unique about it. The example would be is if it's a GPR program and you're very much surgery focused, then try to find those GPR programs that perhaps are maybe in those rural areas where you're not going to be fighting over those surgery patients with the perio program or the oral surgery program. So I think number one is looking for the programs that match. Number two, length of time. In this example, maybe on an orthodontic program that is very unique because it could be as little as 2 years to as many as 3 years. So it could be something like that. It could be something unique about the program, it could be the cost. So example could be Georgia or Jacksonville orthodontics versus maybe UT San Antonio. Two drastically different costs. I can't really talk about the programs, but I would say a similar result as far as still being the orthodontist. So number one, let's identify the programs, and now we need to basically figure out how we can market to them. The key now is to look inside these programs. Okay, and this gets a little bit in the weeds, but I did a little research on this before we started today, and I dove into and just picked a random specialty of pediatric dentistry, and I picked Texas A&M here in Dallas. And so what you want to do there is I want to be able to see, number one, who are these visiting faculty? There's typically all posted 10, 15 visiting faculty. And maybe is there a dentist I know in Dallas, maybe a GP that's 1 degree separated to the pedo, to where you connect me to that pedo that's on the faculty to let them know I'm interested in the pedo program. I know you teach there. I need an in, okay? So what way are we going to get this in? That is absolutely key. Then we need to figure out specific things like who the program director are, maybe who the assistant is. You know, I've got to figure out some of these people, and then I got to figure out basically like a marketing plan, because I've got 10 schools, 1 degree of separation. Then I got to go into each one of the individual people, and I got to figure out this plan. These are going to be the program director, graduate program director, visiting faculty we talked about, and the most important person that I would say the key here is the program administrative assistant. So this admin is more than likely a very long time employee of the school, university, and this is actually one of the key people that I would say that you would want to communicate with. And so what we're looking for there is we're going to actually call these people, okay? So I'm actually calling, in this case, administrative assistant, leaving messages, sending them an email. These are people you can look up online, getting a return phone call back or being persistent till they answer the phone. And what I'm doing there is I'm just letting them know that I am interested in their program and asking them what is key as you are getting applications in that maybe sets the candidate apart to where it makes the cut for the interview. The only thing I'm looking for here is to set yourself apart to get in the door. You know, if they're going to select 10 and they have 50 applications and they're going to make the applications from 50 down to 30 as far as the interview, I just need the interview. If I can get you through to the interview, I personally think that with a strategy, we can get you past and get that offer. So the first thing I would say is the marketing effort needs to be thought out. Identifying lots of schools, minimum of 10, great communication to key people, try to find 1 degree of separation, do some phone, email communication, just so that you're different from the others to make a cut for the face meeting.
That sounds like a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, and it frustrates me that this is something somebody's passionate about. You just got through looking me in the face and telling me this is what you want to do, but we're not putting a ridiculous amount of effort into this interview process, and I think that's just a give up.
Yeah, I mean, this goes back to if this is something you really want to do and you're going to come out with a lot of debt and it's going to be kind of a road that you've got to like push for, your ability and want to like push for the right program and kind of get in is kind of the first step. A lot of work, but clearly very worth it. You got an interview now. You're going into an interview. What am I doing? What am I not doing?
Okay. First, I want to know a lot. I want to know how many candidates are we talking about that are in this interview process? How many slots do we have? I can't stress the importance here. If I'm coming into TAMU Dallas and I want to know ahead of time, I will be interviewing with 8 people. Here are the residents. Some will be selected, some won't. Typically, they're the second years. If those second year residents are posted online, I've got pictures of them, and I can tell you just by flashcards, I know who their names are. Because when I get to that residency program, I need to be the earliest one there. I need to look sharp. I need to know who my 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people that I'm going to be interviewing with. I need to have prepared questions, thoughtful questions about their culture, what makes it unique. What do you look for in candidates from a leadership standpoint? If there are rotations that are being done, like at a pedo program in Dallas, I would know. I would say, I know you do, 6 rotations at these clinics, Is there anything that would distinguish each of those clinics? Come in overly prepared for this interview. Take notes. Just like on the interview we were trying to get in for anything in life, is that preparedness, but also when people are communicating with you and telling you, you're looking them straight in the eye, you're taking notes, asking, can I take notes? And then repeating back some of the things that they taught you or made you aware of. You're thanking them personally for all of this. It's just this intensity. If there's 10 people and there's 2 rows of chairs, front row and second row, you're sitting in the front. You are there for a reason. You're there on a mission. And if that perhaps assistant that is not going to be a part of that interview process, because that's generally not the case, you make this special effort to go and meet with her and just say thank you, for anything. You make an effort to, on a visiting faculty member that maybe gave you the lead, that you let them know immediately after that you had a very successful meeting and we're so appreciative for any of the coaching they gave you. If there are 10 people you meet, those are 10 follow-ups. If there are 3 to 4 people that had an influence, you immediately thank them as well. And those are with handwritten thank you cards. Those are with personalized emails that are not just something generic. And those are sent in the mail and something personal that touched you. It could have been something as simple as, hey, appreciate you sharing with me about the clinics. It could be something about the culture, or thank you for showing me where the bathroom was. Thank you for, for sharing with me about your daughter and the podcast. That was really cool. And,
continuing to
gig
make
'em
connections.
Aggies or something.
Yeah.
I can't believe I just said that, You got to connect, Christy.
Yeah.
And it's so important that it has to be done.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm telling you, by listening to this and following some of these instructions, I am telling you that out of that 30, if you do these little things, I know this process works. They got freaking 30 pictures up there. They don't remember all of you. They don't. I'm sorry. They don't remember every little detail about you. But if you can make yourself stand out in those 30 pictures as they're making that final selection of 10 or 8 or 5 or 4, it's like this. I remember her. Oh, I remember her too. I remember her as well. Yeah, she was amazing. She sent me the thank you card. She did this. She did this.
Yeah.
She sat in the front. This is how to get in.
Well, and this is as I hear you, I've never interviewed residents for a specialty program, but I've interviewed a lot of people in a lot of different situations. And I would say that, all the things you're saying are no different than when you go to any job interview or you're trying to impress a practice owner. We have episode 148 and episode 2 about how to find the opportunity. And while there might be differences in some of these some of our advice that we're giving, the overarching sentiment is the same, which is you really want something. And there's a lot of other people that want the same thing, and only a handful of you can get that. And so how do I make myself stand out? How do I show this person in a very short amount of time that I'm serious, that I'm dedicated, that I know my stuff, that I've taken the time, that I respect your time, and that I'm a human too, right? Like that hey, go Aggies, here's my daughter. Like those things are also personal to show that yes, I'm this, but I'm also a person and I appreciate you as a person too. So, I think everything you've said today, super, super valuable, even if you're not a dental student looking to go into specialty. If you're a person looking to get something that you really want professionally, these steps are going to really help you.
You're referring to a master's psychology person right now that's trying to get into their doctorate.
Someone who might be named Cole.
Yeah, maybe Cole.
Maybe, if you're listening.
Yes, if you're listening. Now, one other thing I would say is in any interview process, you want to know who the decision makers are. Mm-hmm. So that's something, what are those next steps, just out of curiosity, behind the scenes of how the selection process takes place? And then number 2, would it be okay if I personally follow up with you? Mm-hmm. And of course, the answer is going to be yes. You just got through spending a full day with them, and then to be able to get that contact information and whatever that contact information they're willing to share. It could be their Gmail address, it could be the school address, or it could be their cell phone. And so just to be able to make sure that you have that communication and you've opened up that ability to get a response back. And then that comes with that follow-up message. Mm-hmm. And that follow-up message sometimes has a little bit of an open end to it. It's like, hey, thank you for sharing with me, about the program. Is there anything else that perhaps I wasn't able to address for you in the interview? Let me know.
Yep.
And that response will typically be, no, hey, I thought you did great. Great to meet with you. And it's just, now we have a dialogue. And now it's just something simple as, hey, I'll check in maybe next week with just a short message. But if anything that you can think that I could do to add value here, I'd love to go to Baylor. Yeah. Love to go to Texas A&M, right? Probably that's where we're going to leave it.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to cross the line and hit 4 and 5 and 6 times, but I want to make this impression so strong, and then to be able to kind of follow up with that little bit of close, that little bit of nudge that I can hopefully stand out.
Yeah. And I think, look, you're listening to this. You've probably also been told no in your life. And I would challenge you that you are going to hear no, right? I mean, not everyone can win everything. And I would just say that take that and make it kind of a driver for kind of your next step, because I was talking with one of my fellow friends who is a doctor, and she didn't pass her MCAT the first time. And she was like, it rocked my world because I had passed and excelled at everything in my whole life. She was like, so I stayed another year. I took it again and I got into the top 5 medical schools. And now she has this incredible career. And she was like, maybe that wouldn't have been the case had I done it the first time. So you're going to face challenges. And I guarantee you're going to feel better about yourself when you hear a no when you've done all these things than if you would have wished you would have done more on the front end or taken that extra step. So put in the hard work, get the opportunity, and clearly, if you have questions, you know where to find us. So that's all we have for today. Thanks for joining us on episode 149 of Transition Talk. As always, make sure to share the transition love with those who may not know of us yet, and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. Until next time.
Thanks, guys.